Hi everyone, this is Chris, and today I'm going to be drawing a member of the Mondoshawan, the gold-plated alien race from one of my favorite sci-fi movies, The Fifth Element. I always found this species to be fascinating because of their design, and because they were so mysterious. We never really learned much about them at all during their brief appearance in the movie. All we really know is that they were the guardians of the five elements needed to defeat the ancient evil which appears every 5,000 years. I always wondered if they were the ones that originally created Lilu and the Five Stones, or if, like the priests that serve them, they are really just the most recent group in a long line of caretakers. I'm also curious about what exactly the Mondos are beneath that hulking metal exterior shell. Is that simply some sort of spacesuit that they're wearing? Or maybe that's their actual exoskeleton, like a crab or insect. And the reason why it's so artificial looking is that they're actually some sort of biomechanical life form, like a more polished and friendly version of the monstrous xenomorph from Alien. It would also be humorous if it was a situation more like Men in Black, where it's actually a very tiny alien somewhere deep inside the chest cavity piling these massive 7-foot frames, more like a robot as opposed to simply wearing a suit. Another interesting possibility would be if the Mondos weren't organic at all, but rather just straight up machines. We're so used to seeing AIs in movies all being hell-bent on wiping out humanity. It would be a nice change of pace if they were actually on a mission to preserve life instead. One bit of evidence I have of them either being AIs or at least mostly mechanical is the scene when the head Mondo is about to be trapped within the closing walls of the temple. He reaches out his hand to give the priest the key to the temple. As his hand gets crushed by the closing doors, we see a splintering of metal but no blood. And while in some movies they choose just not to show blood regardless of the injury in order to keep the rating of the movie down, we see in The Fifth Element that Corbin, Lilu, and especially the Diva all get left pretty bloody later on in the film. And after all, the Mondos are aliens, so they could definitely have some Nickelodeon-style green gack squirt out of the hand as it's crushed. Besides the mystery of their origins, I also really like their design. How they're so armored and bulky, but they really don't come off as intimidating at all. I remember in the novelization of the movie, it described them as being like huge turtles walking upright, which felt like a very apt comparison. I also like how their armor has all those spikes lined across the top. Sort of reminds me of a sea urchin. I've heard that the number of spikes they have relates to their rank, which makes sense given the one who had the key and did all the speaking definitely had the most elaborate display. All of the little purple and blue lights lining their exterior was also a nice touch. The big light on their crotch was an interesting design choice, but it's not surprising seeing as how the movie was going for such a bombastic and out there tone. I always thought it was a shame that we never got any action figures based on these guys. There really wasn't any Fifth Element merchandise in general until recently. Now we have the Funko Pop and retro figures, which are cool, but I would have really liked to see a company like NECA make a 7-inch figure of the Mondos and the rest of the Fifth Element cast. They would look incredible based on what they've done with their Alien and Predator lines. They would really nail the likeness of the actors and come up with some great accessories. I'd love to have a Lilu with 4 miniature stones and a Zorg with a crazy detailed little ZF-1. And they make a plastic Mondo look like a literal ton of weathered metal with their realistic paint jobs. But hey, maybe now that NECA has made figures based on Valerian, another Luc Besson movie, maybe there's a chance they'll go back and look into a Fifth Element license. Well, that's about all I have. Let me know in the comments what kind of creatures did you think the Mondos were? Did you think that they created the 5 elements or were just watching over them? Also, let me know if there were any other comics or books made that were based on the Fifth Element universe. It was such a rich and fun world that Luc Besson created. I would really love to see more stories set in it. Thanks for watching, and for more of my illustration work, go down to the description for links to my Instagram, Facebook, and Deviant Art accounts.